Yeah, my name's Lyndon Evans. I'm the Microsoft Partner Director for GCI. So I get to stand up and talk about Microsoft all day long. Just some relevant facts on my background. I'm a sort of IT geek, been in IT all my life since I graduated. I'm a fellow of the British Computer Society, so if anybody members in here, come and talk to me. Basically, I'm ex-government, so I used to work in the MOD and the NHS. So GDPR, government, regulations around data protection, data governance, audit and all that sort of stuff. I used to be an ICT manager for an NHS trust, so patient confidentiality data is fantastic. GDPR is coming in, it's going to help us with that. But also, from being that person in that seat, I know about all the problems of data and things like that. And I've been in the Microsoft world, basically in a customer-facing role for a number of years, looking at cloud, Office 365, Skype for Business. So I'm going to stand up and talk to you about a few things. Feel free to ask questions. I can talk for hours. The guy in the corner is going to stop me because I've got always so much to say. Apologies. So yeah, EMS Cloud PBX I'm going to talk to you about. Basically what Graham's done is talk to you about Microsoft's approach to GDPR and try to show you in the last 4 slides how some of the products that Microsoft have out there right now can help you in your compliance and discovery and managing your resources. It's keen to say that Microsoft supply the tools, they don't supply the answers, but what it's doing is giving you the tool set, the toolbox to go off and do things in a strategic manner. You know, I'm guessing right now your IT infrastructures, if you're not really, really lucky at what I call a Heinz 57 match, basically you've got everything everywhere because you've put lots of tactical solutions in and it's not mainly strategic. And you've done that because a lot of products aren't available all on the same platforms. What we've seen with Microsoft, they're putting everything up into the cloud. The solution set is so broad, the tool sets are so broad, they all work together that you can now do things that I couldn't do when I was working in IT, managing IT teams and taking responsibility. I couldn't do it. Now, you can just see things happening and getting together. So I'm just going to talk about EMS and Cloud PBX. So really, EMS, enterprise mobility, I'll talk about it in more depth, but it's going to hit 2 things that you've probably got problems in your business right now. Bring your own device. Either it's official or unofficial. I've got a company laptop and I got my own device, and I probably work more on my own device than the company laptop. Bring your own device, I can work the same. Big risk for the company because they can control the data on one laptop, not on mine. And then we've got GDPR, which is coming through. It's been around since 2012. It's got a long history. Like everything, we're now starting to focus on it. I remember when the year 2000 bug came along, and I was in the NHS, and we had less than a year to sort it all out, even though we'd known about it forever. You know, so I know everybody's got focus on it now. So GDPR is really, really relevant to everybody right now. What I'm going to talk about is basically how EMS can help you. Just to put some fear, uncertainty and doubt in your minds, okay? Some relevant stats. So typically in the bottom left there, you will not find a hacker in your network for an average of about 140 days. Somebody can get into your network, can be taking information off you, planting information in there, can be doing all sorts, either silently or proactively. You won't find them in the network on average for 140 days. By then, they've come in, they've done what they wanted to do and gone. You just see the breadcrumbs they've left behind. 30% of companies have experienced a data breach from mobile networking. You may not believe that number, 30%. It's really high. But what you've got to remember is nobody ever stands up and says, I've been hacked, because it's a price-sensitive share sort of value sort of statement. So you never know people get hacked. It's the people who make all the software at the back get the reports and can issue these figures. So 30% may seem quite high. That's pretty genuine because we're getting hacked all the time. 38% of people say they've no control where their data goes. You know, they don't know where the data is. It's on a machine somewhere, it's copied. I'll send it to you, you'll copy it to somewhere else, you'll copy it to the cloud, you'll share it with somebody else. I've got no audit control there. GDPR, massive, massive issues. Where's my personal information gone? How can you control it? How can you delete it? When I delete it here and it pops up over there, very, very dangerous. Typically, you know, every 53 seconds, a laptop is gone missing or stolen. Think what you can get on a laptop. Think if it's protected or not. Do you have BitLocker on there? You know, is it protected against the Active Directory? Can I log into it? How open is it? How easy can I get into it? And what information's on there? 4.9% of corporate mobile phones are lost every year. You know? So.
Oh, Lyndon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the interruption, but this is really important. Lyndon, I'm sorry about the timing here, mate, but I'm leaving the company. GCI is a fantastic company. We've been living the dream for a number of years, but I've been headhunted by one of our competition. I'm going now. keys to the company beamer. It's a weapon of choice for the road warrior. It's on a meter downstairs, so you better get that shifted.
Okay, so what just happened? Okay, I may have a nice new car. It's probably better than mine. It's a BMW. But, you know, there's other ramifications to that. So, Pete, if you come back in.
I've got some more stuff for you. I'm not finished yet. You better have this lot back. Shall I put it over there?
Yeah, give it to me.
My iPhone,
iPhone.
iPad, lunch. Laptop.
Brilliant. All the best, Pete. See you in the future.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. That iPhone is what all of my customers phone me on. It's got my company email on it, and it's also got pictures of my kids. All my banking details are on my iPad and my corporate accounts. More importantly, all my proposals to my customers are on here, which I've not actually backed up to SharePoint yet.
So I'll have them back then.
Sorry, we run a BOYD, bring your own device. These are my devices. I'll let you know when I've taken the company information off them.
Well, I get a free lunch then. Thank you.
No such thing.
Okay, a bit of a role play, a bit cheesy maybe, but that is so common. That can happen so easily. And just think of what's on those devices. And the most dangerous one for me is the mobile phone, because the mobile phone's got a data connection. So you can take data off that very quickly before the guy's even got to the lift. The information's gone. The laptop I may have a bit more control over, but you know, you just got to look at the power and what's on those machines. And how do I comply with GDPR? How do I now rescue those devices back? What can I do? If you look at what you've got currently, have anybody got any solutions out there that you could confidently say that you can wipe those machines remotely, or you can confidently, you know, take them out of your network, or you can do something with them? Anybody? Yeah. And the one bit we haven't talked about is you've also got these things as well, less common nowadays, but just the old, you know, USB drive. They're massive. You can put stuff on very quickly. I was once with a customer. Oh, I say once. 2 weeks ago, I was with a customer, and we were about to do a presentation, and we didn't have the dongle to do the presentation. So I said, that's okay. I've got a USB drive. Give it to them. He said, we can't use USB drives. We've glued them all. So you actually go back to physical ways of stopping security loopholes by gluing ports, which then means they can't even use them themselves. So, you know, some big issues, some big things. Yeah, just finishing off with this. So only 4% people are very confident they can stop random ransomware, which has been quite pertinent recently with the NHS and the like. And 8% have been victims of cybercrime, but we never get to see the true picture and the true ramifications. So some just other things around EMS, some issues you may have in business, some problems. Card abuse, credit card abuse. So we all know, yeah, that a credit card number is 16 digits long. Yeah, and that's floating around your organization. Using Office 365, using Outlook. If you send an email in Outlook, for instance, it's configured already with some templates of metadata that will say, hang on, do you really want to send a credit card number out to your organization? It can put some warnings up. Have you seen those sorts of things? Yeah, okay. So we had a customer recently we were doing some discovery with. It just happens to be that their order system generates 16-digit numbers. So now all of a sudden you've got information flooding around the customer's network. Is it a credit card number? Is it not? What do we do with it? Because if I'm responding to your order and I'm going to send information out an email across my boundary, it's a 16-digit number. I want that to go to you because it's your order number. But if that's a credit card number, I want to stop it. What do we do? So we've got to look at ways of doing things, you know, around that. Luckily with the EMS and things, we can build templates of organizational data. Within a credit card number, the first 6 digits is the international banking code, IBAN code. So we can profile those to say, if those 6 digits are on this list of well-known IBANs, we can say that's a credit card number, don't let it go out. So we can put granular rules around things. And that's just some part of EMS. Copy and paste, we can, you know, you've got your mobile phone. I ain't got a mobile phone now, so I'm not going to use the notebook as a mobile phone. No, I'm not going to do that. But basically, you've got a mobile phone. We can now say, bring your own device. We can put corporate apps on that phone, but we can put them in this own little area and only allow you to access corporate information in that area secure within your mobile phone. And we can stop you copying and pasting on the screen across 2 devices, across 2 applications on there. And then if you move out like Pete's gone, we can scrub that phone on his device of our application, but leave his system untouched. So you can do things like that. So EMS allows us to do things like this. Document access. So I was trying to work an analogy on this and I got it so wrong. So I was thinking in my head that when you look at document access, I create a document, I then basically encrypt it in some way, and I send it to you, and as it goes through, it's kept the encryption, it's kept the audit log all the way through. But it doesn't work like this. I can encrypt the document, I can send it to you, and I can give that document the rights that you've got to authenticate to somewhere. In this case, is Active Directory in Azure. And then depending on the rights I've given you, you can read it, you can print it, you may be able to forward it, you may be able to do nothing with it, just read it on that device. And that device could be only our corporate device, and it could only be within HQ. So now I'm not letting you read that document on the train, but somebody else can read it over your shoulder. We all see that on trains. I'm saying you can only do this in the corporate office. So we can do things like this and really protect the information. Okay, so I won't labour this. One point I will say at the end, suspicious logins, really, really cool function. Basically, we're using Azure Active Directory. You log into Azure Active Directory, but behind the scenes it's monitoring where you're logging in from and what you're logging in, what locations, what device you're logging in, and it basically monitors. So if you then get a login, let's say you're in London today, and at the same time somebody's trying to log in New York, it will say, hang on a second, there's some strange activity here. How can Lyndon move from one location to another so quick? So there's a lot of intelligence behind it where your logins are monitored, and if you're commonly logging in from this device, and then all of a sudden there's a spurious one out in, I don't know, out in the Far East or something, the system can warn us and do something about it and stop that account, warn the administrators. There's a lot of functionality behind it. So just EMS very quickly for you, because there's a lot to talk through. EMS comprises of really 5 different applications within Microsoft. So I'll just talk to you very quickly about these. Azure Active Directory. Graham was in danger of stealing all my thunder on this when he started talking about multi-factor, multi-form authentication. Basically now, you know, when I was in IT, it was like give a user a username and a password and they're away. But nowadays, you know, with Hello from Windows and things like that, you can literally look at the machine and it logs you in. But there's a lot more intelligence underneath. To enable all this to operate, it's looking at what device you're logging in from, what location you're logging in from, what time of day you're logging in, where you're trying to log into, and it basically formulates a whole profile around me as a user and other users in the organization. So it allows us to build quite secure logins. And when you log into Azure, it gives us tokens that then allow us to forward login into other services. And Graham, I don't know if you know the figures behind, but there's quite a few with Azure Active Directory. There's quite a few. I think it's thousands of applications that have got Azure Active Directory logins. So for instance, you can log into Azure Active Directory once, you get single login to Evernote, into Salesforce, into SAP, into all the different platforms out there. This true cloud login is quite secure. Microsoft Intune, so you may have seen Intune as a separate product. Intune gives us that mobility, the ability to control the mobile solution. So regardless of what device you're on, we can control what apps are on that device, how they run. Basically, we can remote wipe them and we can secure them that way. So it leaves us have a separate business platform within your mobile phone, bring your own device. Azure Information Protection, I've hinted at, is where you send a document or you control documents by a metadata and some taxonomy within your business, and you basically send it into Azure Information Protection, and then basically it only gives granular access to people within your organization, individual level, group level, AD level, external customers and things like this, so you can control data that way, but always comes back to one point to authenticate and to give that permission. That's quite powerful. And you can copy it and paste it and email it around, but it still comes back to get that authentication. Microsoft Threat Analytics is basically, this is really, really cool actually. I'm an ex-geek. I used to be a LAN and WAN designer in BT years ago. So you talk about all the different protocols and how networks work. This thing sits there and sucks in all the information of your LAN and WAN. All your bits of packets going around, IP addresses, all sorts of traffic flows, and gets a profile of your network, and then stores that, and then constantly monitors against this sort of baseline. And then if an attacker comes in, basically they're going to change that traffic flow in some way. This thing has got some deep intelligence in it, can spot that and start alerting you to say, we are seeing strange activity on this laptop, accessing this device 10,000 times, 20,000 times over the space of a day. What's going on? Do something about it. You've been hacked. So you can see it in there, and it's automatic doing it for you. Really geeky stuff, but really, really cool, actually. And then Microsoft Cloud App Security is really, really good. Any of you know what this is? No? Okay. So I get a device, and I want to go and use Evernote. I go and use Evernote. I log in. I create an Evernote account. I may or may not download the Evernote app on my laptop, but I'm in the cloud using it. I've also got Dropbox. I may use a bit of Box, and I may use some other third-party software up in the cloud from my business machine, and I may be putting data into it, because when I go home, I can use it on Dropbox. Great. Works well for me. GDPR, basically threat to the organization, both of losing data and introducing data into the organization. Because if somebody breaks into my Dropbox account, puts a file in, then I download it, I've got a virus. I've got a vulnerability in my network. What this does, it sits in your network, will poll all your users, and basically against an 18,000 sort of, it's got 18,000 cloud apps it's aware of, it turns around and tells you in the organization what cloud apps are being used by what users, and then starts ranking them to say, Evernote is pretty damn secure, Joe Blog's software down here is full of holes, and starts ranking them for you into a threat database. And that allows you then to say, actually, we're going to stop using Evernote as an organization, or we're going to use it for certain people, or we're only going to allow this type of action. And there's some APIs in there as well that they've developed with these other service providers that allow us to have secure connections, so we're not going over a public internet. So it's really, really powerful EMS. You can get all those products together. Really, really sophisticated. It's a really good tool set for you guys to start focusing on some of the real GDPR issues about that data control and PII. GCI, we take Microsoft product sets and add value to it. So basically what we do now is, we're saying what we'll do is we'll take a GDPR, an EMS, and we'll extend it. So we're now talking about moving into the contact center. So currently you've got all these solutions from Microsoft. The one thing that's not there right now is the Skype for Business side and the contact center and call center and credit card recording. Okay, so what we've got, we've developed some software that works with Skype for Business that allows us to give you some GDPR compliance around contact center and credit card payments, which is pretty hot. At the moment, there's third-party applications out there that do it, but the problem is they're a third-party application. You get back to Heinz 57 variety, where you add another application to your network when really you're trying to bring them all together and manage them as one entity. So Skype for Business does all this, okay? So we've got audio conferencing, absolutely brilliant. Video conferencing, web conferencing, instant messaging. We've got telephony and voicemail. So Skype for Business does all that. It's been doing it for a long time. Since Link 2010, we've been able to say that Skype for Business is now, or Link, the platform, is a PBX replacement. You can replace your telephone system with it. Microsoft, this time last year, launched in the UK Cloud PBX, which meant you could now dispense with anything voice on-premise. You haven't got to build any specific applications with Skype for Business. You can just go to the cloud like you do with Office 365, buy a user, buy a license, and get voice. You get a DDI number, and you're away working. So that's all this is a whistle-stop straight through of what Cloud PBX is. And I'm looping back to something at the end, so it makes some sense.
Let me understand here, Lyndon, because I'm really struggling with this. I'm not as bright as you are. How does Cloud PBX, how does Skype for Business link back to GDPR? That's the bit I'm struggling with.
Okay. So we spoke about Microsoft offer you a tool set, okay, for GDPR, for putting all these solutions into one area, controlling it through Active Directory, giving users access via mobiles, devices, tablets, laptops, and the like. So we've got all that there. The one missing part is voice, because voice is out on the side. You've got voicemail platforms, you've got contact center solutions, you've got all those sorts of things. But that infrastructure is outside of your control normally. It's a box in the corner looked after by telecoms. It's got call records in there on a database somewhere. What we're saying here now with Skype for Business Cloud PBX is you can bring that into the cloud, and all your data is stored in the cloud. So the SQL database is holding all your customer data, is also holding the call records for your platform.
Right.
So it's all in one area. You can start governing it. So when you start doing the discovery, like Graham mentioned, going through, it's all in one platform. It's all there.
Right.
So my telephone number now is not in a PBX over here. It's in the same platform.
Okay.
It's all controlled.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. It goes more than that, and I've got a couple I'll point out to you now. So what is Cloud PBX? It's basically, it's the next generation, it's in the cloud, so you don't have to do anything. So if I decided to join Pete on his exit out the door, we could open up a new company this afternoon, and literally we could have fully functioning email platforms and telephony platforms by the end of today. It's as simple as that, it's as quick. We'd have DDI numbers and we'd be working. So it's a transformational bolt-on. It works within Office 365 and gives you more functionality in Skype for Business. It's enterprise grade and scales easily, so you haven't got to worry about putting 500 users on a platform or it's going to grow to 2,000 next year. You can buy this as a per user per month basis. You haven't got to worry. Microsoft's headache is about scaling and performance, and it's packed with features. Now, a lot of features coming up, okay. It does telephony. For probably 80% of the customers I talk to, they're adopting this because it just does it. It does what it needs to. You can make and take telephone calls, which is what you need to do. The reason I put a couple of these in bold, and going back to your point actually about GDPR, is that instant messaging history. So when you're doing instant messages, you all know what instant messaging is, yeah? That's stored in a SQL database. That's stored in Outlook. So that's already part of Microsoft's GDPR compliant platform, that platform there, as part of the tool set you'd use. Okay. The other one down there is caller ID. So the caller ID is basically my mobile number when I'm calling in. It gets stored in the PBX. So you haven't got to worry about another solution. This gets stored in a SQL database. Again, in the platforms we're talking about that will store your other data. So it's all within that area to be discovered, to be managed and protected and reported on that you've got the data there. So we've got call forwarding, really important. In that Pete's left the business, I've got no idea what's happening with his calls. People are coming in and telephoning him on his mobile phone. It might be my mobile phone, it might be our corporate desk, and it might be his office desk. He could have a divert on there. He could divert that all off. So we can report on this, we can find out what's happening, and when we shut Pete off, we do an audit report around him and find out, we'd take his forwards off as well. So, you know, it could be to the competitor. We've got things like voicemail. So voicemail within Cloud PBX Skype for Business is Exchange. So when somebody rings you and they leave a voicemail, it goes into your Exchange mailbox. You basically get a MP3 file and you get it transcribed to you. So you can be on the move and you can say, okay, somebody's left a voicemail, can't hear it. You get a gist of what it says because it's been transcribed for you. All that is GDPR compliant because it's back into the cloud, it's into one platform. When I was doing this years ago, I'd have to buy a voicemail platform, put it by the side of my PBX. This thing just gets more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. Every 3 months, there's new software going into Cloud PBX, new applications, new functionality going into Cloud PBX, okay? And really, just to be totally clear, the simple thing is you go to the cloud and you can make and take telephone calls, which is what 80% of the users I talk to require. However, I get a couple of questions. So many ways there to deploy Skype for Business, Cloud PBX. There's quite a few ways. So there's a whole labyrinth there for you to go through. You can do it on-premise, as you'd expect. You can go to a hoster and take it as a hosted service. You can go to Microsoft and get Cloud PBX, which is I just spoke about. But when I was talking about the 80% of people it's good for, there's 20% of people it's just not there for yet. They need some extra functionality, and it's around this hybrid scenario. So specifically where you're an organization that's got contact centers or has got PCI recording, you can't do PCI call recording, credit card payment, sorry. You can't do that within Cloud PBX, you have to do something else. So we developed the hybrid model, okay? And just very quickly, the hybrid model for me is talking around, you look at a hybrid model when you've got contact center, call recording, and PCI. So if part of your GDPR is around voice, there's a solution set within Microsoft around Cloud PBX that can help you gain compliance, okay? Some other things around the hybrid is it can help you reuse your telephony you've got right now. So if you've got SIP lines in contract and things like that, you can integrate with those. For larger organizations and more complex voice requirements, we use a hybrid approach instead of a stop-start, which can be a problem. It can be the strategic first step. As a strategy for your organization, you say, right, okay, we're going to go into Skype for Business Cloud PBX, but we're going to go in a hybrid scenario and move into it slowly. That works really, really well. Also, the converse works, and it can be a really good tactical solution. You're building a new office of 50 people or 500 people. Traditionally, you've got to buy a PBX to go in there. You can say, actually, I'll put these on Cloud PBX and do it really, really quickly and get into the technologies now, okay? So, this isn't about food. So what I'm saying here is, GDPR is not going away. It's been around a long time, but like everything in life, it's last minute. You know, my desk was always the cleanest desk in the world just before I did my final exams in college. Like, you know, it never got cleaned before, but it's always last minute type of thing, isn't it? So GDPR is not going away. You've got to do something. So you must change. Change is not an option. You have to change. You have to do things differently to be compliant. You can't do what you do now and expect to be compliant because you won't be. You've got to look at being tactical or strategic. There's so many IT solutions out there that get us into a mess and get Heinz 57 because it's always a tactical solution. Let's put this in to cover that requirement now. Let's put this in. And they never talk, they never work, they're a nightmare to admin. Different licensing, different costs, different expertise, different support. It's a nightmare. Think strategically. The tool set that Microsoft and I have talked about today is there for you. Go and look at it and think strategically. And there's solutions in it that will be tactical, but they will allow you to follow a strategic path. And that's really important because that's the only way you're going to get success. Microsoft have lots of tools in the cloud. Graham and I are around here, so come and talk to us. There's a lot more we can talk about in a lot of detail. We've only got an hour to do this today. Make a plan. You've probably got a plan. A couple of customers I spoke to went in and talked about GDPR last year. They said, we're just waiting for our legal teams to tell us what we need to do. And that's true, because it is a legal construct, it is a legal framework that you've got to take a risk assessment on and provide. Now, you've now got the mandate to go and do things. I was with a customer 3 weeks ago. They have got 200 GDPR actions, 200 on the list from legal team that they've got to comply with. Some of those are small, some of those are platform changing. They really are. So when you've got those lists, think of what we've talked about, think how these can help and think strategically. And the key thing is, choose the right partner. I'm from GCI, I would say that obviously, but Microsoft give you the tools. We use these tools and deploy them for lots of customers. So you can either stand there and look at it in your own entity and do it yourself and learn and make mistakes, or you can come to a partner that's done it and can help you. So it's not just about buying the license and putting it out there. It's buying the license, doing the discovery, doing the change, and key, as Microsoft have put at the box, the reporting. You've got to put a feedback loop in constantly to make sure you've got a consistent solution.